Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our council meeting on the 9th of the 12th, 2025. I'd like to welcome everybody here, welcome people in the public, welcome our staff over there. Fine for later. Sure that someone we wanted a Christmas drink, the person that can't turn their phone off. Thank you for that. Your shout. Welcome to the media and welcome to everybody online. And could we start with our opening karakia, please? We'll join in. Oh, sorry. Mā te whakapono, mā te tūmanako, mā te tiro, mā te whakarongo, mā te mahitahi, mā te maunanui, mā te aroha, ka te tātou. So by believing and trusting, by having faith and hope, by looking and searching, by listening and hearing, by working and striving together, by patience and perseverance, by all being done with compassion, we will succeed. Now I'd like to hand it over to Councillor Carr to give us a few little words of wisdom, please.
Every challenge is a chance to grow. Let's make today count.
Thank you for that. Yeah. He usually talks a lot more than that. Anyway. We have an apologies today. One is for a late arrival as Councillor Woodward. And then also Councillor Barker is going to be non-attendance today. So I have a mover for those apologies. And my seconder, all in favour? Carried. Where are we? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that was right. That once. Yeah. We have no one in the public forum today. We've no late items. Have we got anyone anybody would like to declare a conflict of interest on anything on the agenda today? Taylor? No? Nope. Yeah. We've got a couple of special guests and it's been a few years in here in the last triennium. So I'd just like to I'll just go up here, easier. A little bit funny going over there. I'd like to ask Kathy Prendergast to come forward, please. Okay. Off. Kathy, I'd like to thank you for the work you've done for our community in the last triennium, and actually, I'll miss you in our little council meetings that we used to have, catch-ups, Annette catch-ups we used to call them, and I've got a lot of value out of that. So thanks for that. Thanks for your input that you've done for the community, and I wish you well. And I'd like to give you just a bunch of flowers and appreciation from the community. Thank you. Yes. Annette, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Rodney. It is really nice to be back here and see everybody. I'd just like to say a few bits and pieces. For me, the highlights were many. It was really hard to actually pick out the best of the highlights because I really did enjoy being here. But of course, for me, the biggest highlight was the people, our district community, the elected members, the senior leadership team, and the council team. I will always consider for new elected members in the last triennium, we were fortunate to have a great mayor and a significant number of experienced elected members to learn from. Learning from them, but trying to forge our own position. One of the highlights was delivering the best possible 10-year plan under very difficult parameters. The result, which was a compromise of what we'd like to have delivered, but a solid result within the budgetary constraints. For me, the economic wellbeing strategy was really, really good. It was a powerful foundation document. And I think it's fair to say that when we started it, it was hard to see where it was going, but the result was amazing. Being involved as a council with Kiwi House and supporting their journey was a huge highlight. Working with Jamie and Roy, our Ringiatia, our ward councillors, that was huge value for us as individuals and for our council journey. The Risk and Assurance Committee with Chair Peter Stubbs, I learnt so much, and in particular to challenge the norm. Peter was amazing, and I will never forget the way he did challenge things. Probably best I say no more. The senior leadership team, it was a privilege to work with each and every one of you. Your professionalism, your patience, your sheer hard graft, the quality of the reports that we received, which as elected members contributed to and enabled the ensuing decisions. I'm sure life for you is both a deadline and a meeting. Also very notable is how you prioritise connection with the community. That is amazing. And of course, it wasn't all hard graft. We had a lot of lighter moments along the way. All of this is achieved under an inspirational leader, Tanya, a leader who empowers all around her and is passionate about the Ōtorohanga district, whom I hope really appreciates the Ōtorohanga District Council team. I would like to wish each and every one of you a restful Christmas, hopefully with family.
May I please ask Steve Hughes to come forward? Steve, on behalf of the community, I'd like to thank you for what you've done for us in the last triennium. Really enjoyed participating with you, sitting alongside you in the council there. So, all the best for the future, and something to make Sheree happy. Yeah, thanks. Cheers, mate.
Not very often I get flowers at all, actually, but yeah, couple of weeks ago when my phone went and it was Rodney's number, and I thought to myself, my God, they found another 17 votes under Graham Bunn's desk. So I think poor Michael's toast, but no, it wasn't to be. It was the invite to this. But I didn't prepare a speech like Kathy, but I sort of want to reiterate everything that she said about the time that we've been here in our first triennium with sort of parallel, really. And I'd like to thank all the experienced councillors who showed their wisdom towards us, the leadership team as well. It's been, as Kathy says, it's been really great working with you. And I'm sort of, how do I put this? I'm probably a little bit relieved in some ways that I've got my life back, because as you will find out, it's pretty full on at times, and you know, you sort of, but you seem to make time, and I don't know how you do, but you do, to get through. And yeah, I especially like to thank Kit. Thank you, mate, for mentoring me. I've sat next to you for 3 years, and I learned a lot off you. Same with the Risk and Assurance Committee. It was great, and it's certainly given me a purpose for those 3 years, and I really did enjoy it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, right. Should we just pause the meeting for a moment, please, while they sort things out? We're back on here. Welcome back, everyone. All your watchers out there. Now we're up to confirmation of the minutes. We have the minutes of the run sheet, didn't we? The minutes of the 25th of November from the Ōtorohanga District Council. Do we make minutes? Would someone like to move? Kits, move. Hang on a second. Tennille, second. All in favour? All right. Is any matters arising from the minutes? Nope. No, what's the next one? Is that the only minutes we've got? No?
Yeah. The community board on front today.
Okay, so that's the only one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the exciting part. My verbal report. It actually wasn't that long ago that we had a meeting, so I went to the Hamilton Gardens, the launch of the art festival for the Deputy Mayor Christensen came as well. That was a bit of a different sort of event, but anyway. Went to Elevate Breakfast. Spoke there. I don't know why they want to listen to me, but they did. But beautiful breakfast. The college kids did a great job. Yeah. I went to the morning tea at the museum, so had to eat again. Beautiful food there as well. That was actually quite an interesting morning. Darcy Lupton happened to be there, and he told us a story about how he shifted the courthouse. And he said that he got a trailer from the old bridge beams, and he put it underneath the courthouse, and he was about to shift it, and the police sergeant of the policeman of the day came up to him and said, "Darcy, I've got a problem here." And he said, "Oh, what's that?" And he said, "My sergeant tells me to stop you if I see you trying to shift that along the road." And Darcy said, "Oh, what should I do?" And he said, "I'm not back at work till next Tuesday." So just thought there's a little bit of point in that story, especially as then later in the agenda we're talking about moving buildings. But anyway, I went to one of the hardest meetings we had to go to was a Waikato Waters meeting in Mystery Creek, because as you know, I voted against it and wasn't that keen on it, but we've just got to put that behind us, and democracy's deals you the cards that you deal with sometimes. So yeah. Went to a catch up, just an informal meeting at Ōtorohanga netball club with Mark, gave them some about what they wanted to do. They wanted to shift to the island. Yeah. Went to the Ōtorohanga Community Board. Attended a civil defence meeting here where Tony and his team gave me some instructions on what part of my role is in civil defence. Went to a celebrating Waipara event in Karapiro. Kapia Community Board. Then I went to the Kiwi House opening of the James Hardy Animal Nutrition and Enrichment Centre, and then a real highlight of the week is a Christmas parade in Ōtorohanga. It was a massive Christmas parade and it was well attended. And yeah, apart from that, I've been crook. Anyway, so I'd like to move that my verbal report. Seconded, Jamie. All in favour? Any matters in my report that you'd like discussed? Yeah, no. Jolly good. It's easy today. Councillor Jeffries.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yes, I was just going to compliment you on your activities. You've been a busy boy, but
It's supposed to be a part-time gig too.
yes, it does raise a concern about, in my mind anyway, about government's proposal for you guys to start running the regional council as well. So I don't know how you're going to manage all that, but anyway, I'm sure we'll work our way through that when it happens. Yeah, I was just interested. Did you have any other feedback from the Waters meeting you went to? What was what was the meeting about? Did you?
Oh, it's just starting to do setups.
Was it?
Yeah, pretty much. And they're getting, what's it, Don Vic, the chairperson, Tanya?
Don McLeod is the
Okay.
independent chairperson, so it was the shareholders representative forum.
Okay.
Yeah, so Elena Trout was there. She's the board chair, and so she was there along with Jadine Cunner. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just to talk about it from the board's perspective about the transition and that.
Yeah, right. I think the real work's, there's been a lot of work gone on, but the real work's, still to come sort of, so. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but I mean, but it'll be what it'll be. Yeah.
No, good. No, thank you.
Moving on to item 15 on page 24, the Ōtorohanga Dog Agility Park. And I think Jared is going to be the presenter of this, please. Accompanied by Mark.
Kia ora, everyone. For some of those, through your chair, for some of those that are new here, my name's Jared Lee Fleming. I am the manager of community facilities, and I'll take you through this report. I'll take my report as read, and I'll just go through some of the main points just to jog your memories, and then we'll open it up for any questions. So the purpose of this report is to seek council approval for the installation of dog agility equipment at Waipa Esplanade on the old landfill site. It's also to approve funding for ongoing maintenance and depreciation. This came about as there was a report to the Ōtorohanga Community Board, and they resolved to allocate the capital funding from their own reserve fund, which is why that is not part of the resolution today. The site is council owned currently, and it is already designated as an off-lead area in our dog control policy. There was a Facebook post put up early in the process just to gauge community support, and it was extremely positive with a lot of people wanting this to be put in. In the proposal, there's 7 agility stations. You'll see the pictures there that we've managed to borrow from other councils that have these parks in different areas. The equipment would then be added to the council's database. The depreciation is estimated at around 2,500 per annum, and the maintenance would be 500 per annum and be added to the Parks and Reserves maintenance budget. I'll head over for any questions.
Have we got any questions? Yes, Councillor
Well, thanks, Your Worship. Yes, through you. Jared, good report. Thanks, mate. Very good. Just the one question in terms of the ongoing costs and depreciation and so on. Is that going to be charged back to the district Parks and Reserves account, or is that going to be targeted back to the Ōtorohanga Parks and Reserves? Can you just clarify that?
And that would be the Ōtorohanga Parks and Reserves account. I couldn't tell you how that is funded completely.
Yeah.
Not sure if Mark.
Yeah, I can get it. They're all district funded.
They're all district funded. Yeah.
And they've all been combined now. I don't think we have separate ones, Jared.
Oh, that was what I had sort of wondering in my mind as to whether there was a separate thingy for Ōtorohanga community. Yeah. So it's all district. Yep. Good. Okay. Thank you.
Calf your dogs are welcome. Councillor Clark.
Yeah, what specific measures will be in place to manage the disease risks in any dog conflicts? Like say there's a big fight between a couple of dogs and someone gets bit, what do we do?
I'm going to hand that one over to Tony.
Thank you for your question, Councillor. So as part of my role, if you don't know, we look after animal control as well. We have a shared service with Waitangi District Council. We have 3 full-time animal control officers and 1 dedicated to our district. So typically, if I think of the Cambridge experience in the dog parks there, these are low-risk areas. So there's almost like a social segregation in the dog community, people who want to take their dogs there. They're typically responsible owners. And so it comes back under the Dog Control Act to the owner of any dog has to have their dog under control at all times. So it's back on the owner. There occasionally are altercations, usually they're minor. I can't recall any in Cambridge where there's been significant dog on dog at parks. But if that occurs, in the normal process would be someone will call an animal control officer will investigate. and follow up if needed. So that's already in place under our existing dog control policy.
Thank you.
Councillor Kitty.
In terms of the grounds, I'm assuming it's all grass. Is there any access, what's the access and abilities with those with disabilities who have dogs?
Through your worship, there's the access is still, it's all flat. There's no steps for entry, so it's pretty accessible for most people.
Just to add to that, any pathways getting added in for the person, say, with a wheelchair to get closer?
No, there's no plans for any pathways. We currently mow a little track, an exercise track with shorter grass, so the dogs run off in the long grass, get covered in water, chucked back in the cars, but the people can walk around. This agility equipment would be adjacent to that mowing track. So for push chairs and things like that, you can get around the whole perimeter.
Does someone want to move the recommend? Oh, Taylor, sorry.
Hello. I just have a question. Are there going to be dog waste bins on site, or are people expected to take waste away with them?
People are expected to take it away with them as it currently is now. Can I just, one more thing?
Okay.
I'd just like to thank the working group that was put together, members of council, community board and the community. There was quite a bit of work went in behind the scenes to get this plan to this point. So I'd like to thank all those for their help along the way.
Thank you. Do we have a mover for the staff recommendation? Mover, Councillor Tungi. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Kitty. All in favour? Right. So we'd like to, the staff recommendation is that the Ōtorohanga District Council approve the construction of the dog agility course on the Waipa Esplanade. Approve the recommendation from the community Ōtorohanga Community Board to increase funding of an additional $500 per year to the Ōtorohanga Parks and Reserves operating budget to maintain these additional assets. And C, approve the recommendation from the Ōtorohanga Community Board for the addition of the dog agility equipment to the council asset base and include in annual depreciation calculations currently estimated at $2,500 per annum. So now we're just all in favour. So we're all in favour? Right. Against? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, presenters. Yeah. Now the next item on our agenda is item 16, page 33. And the person responsible is Kaya, but I'm assuming Tanya and Graham are going to take over this one.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Dow. I had to think about that, not your worship. So we have had a workshop on the code of conduct where the mayor and I took you through what this means and pointed out the relevant sections. We did say that the code of conduct is being reviewed nationally and a new code will come out next year. We're not sure of the timeframes, but we need to adopt one anyway. So the recommendations are that we adopt the current code of conduct.
Do we have any questions? Councillor Jeffries.
Well, thanks for you, your worship. Can I just ask Tanya? Tanya, I'm looking on page 36, I think it is 36. There's a table there. We've talked about amendments requiring a 75% majority of council members present and so on. That's to amend the current code of conduct. But once a national code's adopted, will that prevent councils from making any future amendments to their codes or not?
Great question through you, Mayor Dow. We don't know.
Right.
We don't know whether that, whether the amendment clause will still apply, because at the moment you have discretion within the code of conduct. But Kaya and I are assuming that if a national code of conduct is issued, it will be as it is, and there will be no room for amending it.
Right.
I mean, at the very least, I guess, the local government commission who are working on this could say you can amend the code of conduct as long as the provisions aren't any less than you would that it would be in the national. So they might say, look, 3 strikes and a council is out. You might say, no, we're going to think, 2 strikes and a council is out. I don't know. I'm just making something up. And it might be, okay, well, that provision is kind of, it's better than what's in the national code. So it may be that you can do that, but we haven't heard anything on that yet.
Okay. So it's wait and see. Yeah. No, very good. Thank you.
Any more questions? Do we have a mover? Moves Councillor Jeffries.
I'll second it.
Seconded Councillor Carr. Have you got a question or you just turn on to?
No.
Okay. So I'll read it out. Staff recommendation, Ōtorohanga District Council adopts the current code of conduct as adopted 5th of November 2019. Stood the test of time. As the governing document for all members of ODC, its committees, subcommittees and community boards, and notes that this code will remain in force until the national model is issued and adopted in accordance with forthcoming legislative requirements. So all those in favour?
All right.
Against? Carried. Yes. Next, we've got item 9, or item 18. Oh no, 17. Nadia and it's got Mark next to my name, and Nadia. Yeah,
Nadia.
that's all right, Nadia. You're fine. Oh, he's looking a bit.
It might be Mark later, it depends on your questions. Mōrena e te kurumātua me ngā kainihira. This report presents the results of our 4 annual surveys reflecting the year 2024-25, so last year, along with the actions we're taking in response. While I don't have any new information to add beyond what is in the report, I do want to briefly highlight a few key points for context, especially for those that are seeing this for the first time. First, the number of respondents in our resident surveys continues to decline, which does increase the margin of error and limits how confidently we can interpret small changes year to year. While we still get useful insights from the survey, we do need to treat some of the data with caution. Fewer voices essentially means less certainty. That said, though, the themes and the feedback are largely consistent with the previous years. That includes a desire for more transparency and follow through, stronger visibility of council in the community, and practical improvements to parks and recycling. Some of these things we can address, and the improvement plan outlines where work is already happening or is planned. But some requests, such as reducing the price of rubbish bags, aren't possible without either increasing rates or subsidising through other funding, as waste is pretty much a user pay system. So while satisfaction levels in a few areas have dipped slightly, overall satisfaction remains pretty high across the board. Finally, I want to note that feedback is about council as a whole, so it's both elected members and staff that are being considered by our community, and it reflects how the community sees us collectively. Because this report or the contents of the report sits across the whole organisation, Jared is listening in online. If there's some curly questions around his area, Heather is behind me if you have questions about libraries, and the rest of us will do our best to answer any questions that you have. So other than that, I'm happy to take my report as read.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Butcher.
Through you, Mayor. Hi, Nadia.
good report. Just wondering in the refuge collection, rubbish and recycling side, I've just noticed over the last few years, since we no longer have someone going out rurally doing the collection of rubbish around the district, how much that has increased. And if there was any education, looking at education or signs, just reminding people about littering, throwing their rubbish out the window as they go past.
Through you, Mayor Dow, you're referring to the rubbish collection along the roadside.
Yes.
So we had a long-serving staff member that did an amazing job with that activity. At the end of that, of her time with council, she wasn't able to just go out by herself and pick up rubbish on the side of the road. We had to have pilot vehicles with staff in them, front and back. So 3 staff paid for that kind of service. It was just unviable. What Mark and the team did is wrapped it into the road maintenance contract. It's not the same. Definitely not the same, but where there's an overabundance of litter on the side of the road, we can call the team in to do pick up. And the state highways they've adopted, Waka Kotahi, New Zealand Transport Agency have adopted the same approach because it's just unaffordable to actually do that all the time. Research has shown, and some others may know more about this, but I've read information about the people that do that aren't going to be persuaded by a sign that says, please don't throw your litter out of the car. Most of us know the impact on the environment and the look of our districts when we throw something out the window, so we don't do it. The people that do it, and I live on a state highway and I end up with bottles and all sorts of things on my property, they are just, they do not care. So I think paying for signage might also not be such a wise investment. I don't know what other education has been tried and been successful.
Through you, Mayor Dow, Nikki is online and sending me some messages, which I love. We can also push some education through to our youth to keep the information going. So Enviro Schools is an organisation that we fund through the waste levy. So we can have a chat with them because we know that, if you think about McDonald's and make it click, like those things really do start at a young age. So we can do that, but we can also push some comms through our social medias just to keep it front and centre, people.
Councillor Jeffries.
Thank you, Your Worship. Nadia, hi, good report, thank you. Just the one question. 2.1 of the report talks about do undertake 4 annual surveys. Can you just refresh for me anyway? How are those surveys conducted and circulated amongst the public? And how were respondents identified? I mean, could anyone, irrespective of where they lived, take part in that survey? Or
so some of them are specifically targeted to an audience. So the Māori Leaders Survey, I've identified in the report how that's an direct email to Māori leaders who have engaged with us in the last 24 months.
Right.
The older person's housing is again targeted. We send them hard copies of their survey and the annual resident survey. Plus we have our customer experience staff go out there, provide morning tea to entice people to participate and support uptake of filling out those surveys.
Yep.
The annual resident survey is promoted through the newspaper, through social media. We even print in the paper the full survey so that if people just want to fill it out in the paper, they can then drop that off and send it to us, plus it's online. And the library survey is specifically sent to what we call active users. So people that have used the library within the last 24 months. As well as it being available when people visit the library.
okay, the I guess for me anyway, the number of replies to the survey, are you disappointed with the numbers that we're getting back, or it seems quite low considering, you know, the number of the amount of effort that goes into producing these and the feedback that you get? Is it cost effective, or how do you see it? Like,
Thank you for that question. Yeah. Wish you might, but yeah. Look, I think we've been running the survey for 4 years. If we ignore the first year, because you know, the submissions are always low in the first year, it's been relatively consistent, but it is dropping. What is consistent is the feedback that we're getting and what people are asking for. I'm not really sure of the value, the return on investment of continuing the same surveys and the same questions year on year when we've, I feel, addressed what we can address and we just continue to improve in the same way that we do, unless there's some significant change or feedback. As I've mentioned, the logo featured this time, but we're addressing that in this meeting. I feel that the amount of effort that goes into it probably isn't going to change the feedback that we get or what we do about it. So as I've suggested in here, and perhaps we explore further next year, is do we want to change it for the following year, while we still have to ask questions that answer specific measures for the performance statement and the annual plan? The rest of it is actually up to our discretion.
well, I thank you for that, and I admire your ability to think quickly on the response.
Councillor Tamaki.
Just add to that. So we've kind of got to steer the course a little bit for this current long-term plan, and because we have agreed a set of performance measures, and some of them include this. But I would be encouraging council, and in light of the government's proposals around rates capping and us finding savings and things like that, to consider whether we want to do annual surveys in the next long-term plan, or whether we just want to do one across the 3 years. We could do some deep dives into some areas that we might think are kind of hot spots if we want to. But yeah, in terms of the annual survey, we might have a corridor about that in our LTP process.
Yep.
Through you, Matt. So I think, like, I listened to the corridor. There's a real trend. If you travel the road, there's a real trend. We trendful habits, us human people. And so I know the roundabout heading to Te Kuiti is out of our jurisdiction on the other side, but the McDonald rubbish that is chucked out there, so people eat in their car and they must finish about there, and the rubbish gets chucked out there. So if we're driving the roads, there is a real trend when you have a look at the rubbish, where the rubbish is. Same in Pirongia. So they stop at the bakery in Pirongia and just get out where Kathy's first sign on that straight, where there's tons of rubbish there all the time too, and the farmers pick it up, which is helpful. But if we're looking at trying to cut back some of these things, if you really look at it, there's some real good trends along the road that you know where the rubbish is to be picked up. And there's some kids that get picked up on the bus there that have said, hey, pick the rubbish up. So they've been picking the rubbish up with the rubbish bag.
Thank you. Councillor Carr.
I sort of did have a question to a degree, but it's sort of been touched on by everyone else here. But obviously the older demographics really well represented in the survey. Sort of makes sense because they've got a bit more time. Whereas the younger demographics seem to be underrepresented. And they're the ones that perhaps matter most because they're here for the long term, right? So their decisions are going to be the ones who affect the most. How are we going to target them specifically to better engagement?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Dow, it's a great question. We can look at, if we do repeat the survey again next year, we can definitely look at how we do that. We ran a specific targeted promotion with the college, but that only elicited one more response. I do wonder if it's the length and the type of questions that we're asking necessarily. So whether we do it as part of a survey next year, bearing in mind we do have 5 specific questions that we need to ask annually, or if we do it through the long-term plan process, what is it that matters to those demographics that would then entice them to fill out a survey?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that college approach, but what about like the young families that are new to the area, you know? Because a lot of those college kids are going to move on.
Mm.
I mean, some of us come back, not everyone comes back, right? But a lot of new families come into the area or returning to the area, whatever, and they're the ones that perhaps could engage more should they choose to.
Alternatively, asking specific questions at the site of activities. So for example, we could put up signs with QR codes at the parks where they go in and they just ask 3 simple questions. How did you rate your experience today? What could we improve? What do we need to? So there are alternative ways in which we can elicit information that's valuable to us that we can then act upon that isn't necessarily the survey.
Cool. Thank you.
Councillor Kitty.
Through you, Mayor Dale. It's great to see the Māori leaders relationships high trust. Well done to you guys all for that from last year. That's really fantastic to see. I love reading that word high trust words. In terms of moving forward, one of the hot spots, I think, Tanya, is actually Māori participation during these reforms of the Waikato Regional Council and local. So I just want to please make the team aware that all of us, that will be quite a big, in terms of survey, I guess. We want the best results in the surveys in terms of this moving forward with Māori relations. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Christensen.
Yeah. Through you, Mayor Rodney. Whole report, Nadia. Thank you. I just got a couple of things. Under communication, like about how we tell the story and what we should be telling the story about, like what we've learnt from the logo. I was wondering if we've preempted and we've written a story about painting of our building, because I think that is actually going to be a public interest. I think we need to get that out before the scaffolding goes up. Love to see the rubbish it's at 97% satisfaction, and I pray and have my fingers and toes crossed that this continues in our next survey with a change of contractor. And then around the bit around the iwi, we talked about the storyboards along the walkway. I found this quite frustrating to read because this has been going on for 7 years. And I'm just wondering how we can move this forward. Yeah, because even though I do understand that iwi leaders and that it's voluntary, you know, but if you look at the bigger picture, yes, we get paid to sit around this table, but in comparison, there's a lot of volunteer hours too. So yeah, I don't know how. I hope maybe that Jamie and Tennille can help us navigate moving this forward, because we've had so many conversations about it for the last 7 years, like telling the story and then QR codes that people can click on, and we're still talking about it 7 years later. So that's just a frustration. Yeah. Thank you though. Great report.
You right? No more questions, Taylor? No? We have a staff recommendation that the Ōtorohanga District Council receive the report titled 2024-25 Annual Survey and Implementation Plan by Nadia Gower, Group Manager, Strategy and Community. Nana Nards.
Thank you.
We have a mover. Moved. Councillor Tamaki, seconder. Oh, Deputy Mayor Christensen. All those in favour? Aye. Next. Yeah. We're up to item 18, the Rira School relocation. And Tony and Mark are the hot seat.
Ata Māori e koutou, we're doing a double team today. So I thought I'd just give a bit of a summary and some updates I'd like to give to the members to run this report. So there's a bit of background for new members in the report. I won't go through all background to the history of the schoolhouse. The reason we're bringing today is under paragraph 2.1. So I'll refer there to the last council resolution 26th of August. And just to remind existing councillors and the new ones bringing back. So the council has agreed to fund the wastewater upgrade from council reserve funds. The reason we're bringing this report today is we had a pre-application meeting around consenting and building consent. And as a result of that, we are to bring this report back. It was scheduled for February, we brought it forward to consider the opportunities going forward and the request from the Ōtorohanga Historical Society for funding of the consent process. On page 113 under the resolution, I do have a recommended amendment and I'd like to table a request from OHS. So the recommended amendment pulls through the dollars into recommendation A. So if I could propose changing this to read resolves part of the fund, and then we get into relating to the building consent, insert assessed at $2,750, and Kathy already has those changes. And resource consent, if resource consent is required, estimated at $5,000. So the difference between assessment and estimate. An assessment is things that we know what fees are for, and that's easy with the building consent because we have fixed fees. Estimate for resource consent because we have a fixed deposit, but the total cost of the consents, we don't know what they're going to be. So that's the difference between estimate and assess. So you obviously be able to come back and debate this. I have had a request from Liz, who's the manager of OHS, who's sitting in the public forum. She's asked if we can add an additional resolution. A little bit unusual. It's not a late item because it was already on the agenda, but I'm happy to table it, and it's over to the mayor whether you accept it. But the request is an additional recommendation, and I'll talk to it after I've tabled it. In the unforeseen event that additional costs are incurred by OHS, e.g. specified reports, council provides contingency funding. So the request there is for the council to fund any specialised reports like geotech, for example, that may be required through the building or the resource consent process. So I've tabled that and you can come back and debate that. Just in terms of my recommendation to you, and I'm happy to explore this later on as well, that proposal is contrary to staff advice. So my advice under recommendation B is that the council funds council's costs of resource consents, and the cost to the applicant, OHS, lies with the applicant. So that's the staff recommendation. And my recommendation doesn't change for 4 reasons. So 3 reasons, all right? So the first one is we're unable to quantify at this point what those costs might be. We don't have an application come in. We've had draft applications submitted to us. Until we have a building consent, and I can update on the resource consent application come in, we don't know exactly what information we might need to go back and request of OHS. For example, it could be a geotech report, it could be some engineering advice. We don't know, so we can't quantify that. It does, in my mind, create a bit of a precedent of moving away from council absorbing its own costs to council covering the costs of an applicant. And we have heard that there is some funding that OHS is seeking. And the last meeting we had in August, they advised that they did have some funding. We're not talking, big dollars for some of these reports. So it may be $5,000 for each individual report if needed. Again, that's a caveat, if needed. But we are setting something of a precedent which would be a little bit unusual to cover both the council costs and the applicant's costs. And the third reason that I wouldn't recommend this is because there's a residual conflict to council in funding an applicant directly and then funding the regulatory arm of council to process the application. So it's something that could be challenged by a third party. And in this case, I don't know who would, but it's just that residual risk is fine, but it's there. So I've tabled that as a request. You've had my thoughts on it, and we can come back to that later on. So if I can move to paragraph 5.1. So at the time of preparing this report, we were waiting on further information. I'd like to tautoko Julian Phillips, who's scrambled after opening the enrichment centre over the weekend to get some advice back to us. So he hasn't provided the information requested, but what he has said is when the building consent application comes in, he's set out what will be included with that. That's given us sufficient confidence to say we don't think resource consent is needed anymore. At this stage, let's pause and I'll introduce Jamie McClellan. Sorry, I should have done that earlier. Jamie's our planning manager. He's been advising behind the scenes, and he's here available if there's any technical questions about resource consent. So that's good news. At this stage, it looks like we don't need a resource consent. The caveat is, provided that information comes in with the building consent and there's no unforeseen things that crop up. My recommendation's still the same, because I wouldn't want to be in a situation that if council says we don't need a resource consent anymore, therefore we don't need to fund it, subsequently something comes up, we don't want to have to bring it back to you. So my advice is it's still prudent to make a decision on the funding of the consent. I'll come back to Mark and give him an opportunity in around infrastructure. We've got the costs in there. There's a little bit of detail we've gone into the costs. Just to summarise, probably the easiest way of summarising this on page 123 under option 3, table of costs. And so we've broken there the building consent, assessed fees, resource consent, estimated fees. If you go down to the bottom, with the resource consent now most likely not being needed, all we're talking about is the building costs of $2,750 for the council. So even though there might be a contingency for the resource consent, all going to plan, that's what the decision will be. So at this stage, I'll hand back to Mark's double-edged kind of report just around the infrastructure side if you want to cover anything.
Thanks, Tony. Good morning. So you can probably appreciate that we're working under some pretty tight timeframes with this project currently. So we decided to include some infrastructure upgrades in this report, and namely around the challenges we're facing. Ordinarily, a term build over wouldn't normally come in front of council, it would just be agreed and approved it operationally by the group manager. But I thought it was prudent that we highlighted a few of the challenges that we are facing with the stormwater pipe currently, which I've detailed in my report there. And subsequently, we have had some pricing back on the wastewater upgrades, and it's just around the drilling of the discharge line currently. The contractor is probably unable to give a fixed price yet on the pump chamber installation because it's got to be removed from its original location, and pending that part of the project might have an effect on the price. But we're confident that we're still going to be within that original budget currently, pending any difficulties once it's removed. I'll probably just take that as read. I think it's probably easier just to take some questions on the stormwater, but it's reasonably detailed there. Probably the only takeaway from there is currently we wouldn't approve a build over that pipe in its current state without a full replacement. But given the support of this project, the team come up with a solution which does carry an element of risk for council on approving the build over and some commitment to a further realignment of that stormwater in the future. So happy to take some questions on that.
Mark, I've got a question on the stormwater. Why don't we just replace it now? Wasn't it easy to do when there's no building there, or are we just going to build over? Because I see in 10 to 15 years, it's, and from memory, the parks and reserves plan that we had for the domain was to improve the drainage. I'm assuming that runs into that stormwater, which then runs through the one that's got some trees in it. And so is it in the capital works or whatever you call it? Should we not try and bring that forward? It may delay in shifting the school, but
yeah,
so it would be a better solution than in 10 years' time getting a crane to shift the school to fix it. I don't know, what's your thought?
Yeah, so I've sort of detailed that in paragraph 5.9. There is a LTP budget for work on that stormwater pipe. It was identified as an issue we had.
Mm.
So all that work that we've done to date has been funded through the LTP budget. We could go ahead and replace that pipe, but it would basically grind this project to a halt, because that pipe's about 2.5 meters deep.
Yeah.
750 mils, and that basically that entire area where that schoolhouse will be going will be disturbed while the pipe's laid. So, which will probably add extra costs, because that whole area would have to be then compacted and stabilized so that they could actually put a foundation on top of it, which I'm not saying they can't do, but it will add cost and time. So we're quite confident to go ahead and replace that pipe. But my estimates at this stage would be that you wouldn't relocate that building in the next 12 months.
Yeah, but so just saying that, so if, like in 10 years' time, you've got to replace the pipe. So you're going to have to lift the school, you're going to have the same issue, aren't you? So basically all he's saying, if we did the pipe now, we're just going to delay the moving of the.
So we work on a 100-year life.
Yeah.
For concrete stormwater pipe. So potentially in 100 years' time, that pipe might have to be replaced again. The landscape might look completely different then. But that's the risk that we take with buildovers. And generally, you'll sort of a commercial sort of style buildover, we would normally make sure the building is designed in a way that we could go and replace that pipe. That's why we look for realignments as other alternatives. So trying to fit within the time frame of this relocation, that's where the solution we'd come up with is leave the pipe there, accept that it's not perfect, and then commit to realigning that pipe in the future away from that location. It does come with its challenges, because there will have to be some foundation plans built for that pipe. And of course, the other risk is that should it fail earlier, we could actually affect the foundations of that building, which is also not ideal. But I suppose what I'm saying is that council will be accepting that risk, being a council, I suppose, council building, for want of a better word, sitting on a council reserve. So it's definitely not something or a solution we would even look at on a private development.
That's why I'm sort of thinking, like, get rid of the tree, put a brand new pipe in, and then pop on top. Anyway, we've got some more questions. Thank you for that, Councillor Butcher.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Dell. Hi, Mark. Just so you said approximately, if it was to delay the moving of the Rerewa school, it may take 12 months if we were to fix it now, that pipe, that stormwater waste pipe, and have it settled so that you can properly put the building there. That area there, that pipe, does that service exactly the domain as well as, or it runs into the domain pipes, or what?
So the pipe, I think, I put a picture on there, So the pipe that goes beside the Girl Guide Hall is feeding from Domain Drive.
From Domain Drive.
Yes. So it all comes down Domain Drive. And this is the part of the investigation. We've discovered that there's 2 different pipe sizes in there. So we would look to replace and tidy all that up at the same time. And then it feeds in behind the museum and then back down to Kakamutu Road. Sorry. So the realignment, which I've shown in yellow, makes a lot of sense, but it's just probably not something we would have considered if we weren't looking at putting a building there.
Thank you.
Councillor Carr.
Yeah, my thoughts sort of echoes Rodney's, to be fair. It's just that, and you've touched on it yourself, Mark, you said it might actually pack in earlier than 10, 15 years, right? So if you're going to do it now. I'd just replace everything now, because 10 years down the track, it could be a hell of a lot more expensive than what we're budgeting for now. And plus you've got to move everything, dig it up and replace it. Wouldn't it be easy to just fell the trees now, get it up to speed, relatively confident in the fact it's going to last 100 years with a new one, as opposed to anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15,
Hmm.
the existing infrastructure.
Yeah, I'm open to that solution. I suppose my intent for the solution I came up with was to meet the ever increasing time frame that's been put upon us to make sure this building's relocated swiftly. So yeah, I'm more than happy to proceed with replacing that pipe as per the long-term plan. And that would just mean a delay on this project, which would be a decision from council.
Yeah, councillor Tamaki.
I don't know, I just have, so when you talk about the two sizing pipes, is it through other replacement that the pipe was bigger or just like whatever?
Yeah, I don't know. It's on our asset register. I think we're showing that pipe was installed in 1976. I'm not sure whether that's accurate, but we've got a 600 mil pipe feeding into a 750 mil pipe, and then it reduces again to a 600. It's a bit of a yeah. I don't have an answer for that. Sorry.
What headline, right? Deputy Mayor Christensen, please.
Through you, Mayor Rodney. I've got a couple of questions. Thanks for the report, guys. Firstly, Mark, you just said you would be happy to do it through the long-term process plan. So you meaning within the next 10 to 15 years? Is that what that comment meant? I just want clarification.
No, sorry. Yeah, good question. And so, yeah, I mean, long-term plan, we're talking 3-year cycles normally, but yes, a long-term plan. So we've put budget in to do this piece of work in Kakamuru Road in the 24-27 LTP. So in the 3 years we're in currently. So that involved some investigation, which we've done, and then some capital improvements in that.
So that leads on to my next question. If around the table we agreed that we wanted this replaced before the schoolhouse, what would the timeline look like? Like, would that be done within the next, so summer next year, stabilization would be all settled and the schoolhouse could go there?
Yeah, so we would, we've got contractors in town now that are doing our sewer and water upgrades. So I mean, it would be easy for us to maybe include that as part of that contract, rather than just, putting out another tender. So I can't talk to the soil, but yes, we would reinstate it back to what was there.
Because the way my head works is if you were doing that and the trees were removed at the same time, you talked about digging up that whole area, you would actually get the tree roots out at the same time and they wouldn't decompose, because like if we got the trees down, put the schoolhouse down, there's no guarantee that there wouldn't be sinkage when the roots rot. So that's just how my head works. My next question would be, in your diagram, the green line goes through other buildings at the museum. So are you saying that in 10 years' time, we have to get under the Waka House too? Is that the same sort of pipe?
Yeah, I think we generally take those lines as indicative. Though that line doesn't go through the Waka House. You're right. It's actually further into that sort of darker green dip. Yeah. And even the one that's I've put in the blue rectangle is slightly more towards the courthouse than the Girl Guide. It's indicative, but it's reasonably accurate, but it's not under those buildings. Yep.
Yeah, I might come back.
Councillor Kitty.
Through you, Mayor Dow. I may only be around for 3 years, to say, but my commitment is for my community. My commitment for my community is for long term. So I'd rather be done once and done properly, and as long as it's not delaying other works and not a huge jump in financial.
Councillor Jeffries.
Thank you, Worship, through you, Mark. I'm just looking at the aerial photograph on page whatever it is, and page 117. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry. And maybe I'm just sort of being simplistic, but there seems to be quite a lot of room behind the Waka House and the current museum building. Why is that not an alternative site for what we're looking at? Could it be?
Potentially no, because that's where the stormwater pipe is that runs behind the complex, but that's also where we're about to put the new sewer pump station. Which is not on this plan, sorry, so if you were looking at the courthouse, if you went directly to the left side of the picture, in that green area there will be where the new pump stations.
Right. Yeah. Oh, well, that answers that. Okay. No, thank you. Yep.
Any more questions? Can we just pause for a moment while I just talk to Tanya? Go off here for a second. We'll just pause the meeting.
Yeah, I think you're quite right, Tanya. And for me, I don't know about the rest of the councillors, but I am a little bit confused about some of the recommendations or changes or amendments that you're making, Tony. It would be nice to see those in writing so I can sort of read them. So I'd support what you're saying. Yep.
Deputy Mayor Christensen.
Okay, so I just wanted to make a couple of other comments. In the report 4.2, the condition that was assessed of the building in 2024, it says, I want to actually just ask, was it clarified that there was actually roof leaks? Because it says there are potential roof leaks, and I'm on the understanding that there is actually no leaks. And then we talk about, and this might not be relevant, but I think it is, rodent in the building. Like, did we do anything to mitigate that? Because obviously any empty building is going to have rodents. So did council actually put bait down to stop it getting worse? And also the funds that, and I know we've passed a resolution for this previously, but I actually think that the circumstances have changed. We're putting these costs towards the project, but to remove the trees, we've put those costs towards council's supporting the project, but actually those costs should be out of our business as usual because those trees are actually damaging our infrastructure under the ground. And then the 30, I just need clarification on this probably from you, Mark, is that towards the pump that we're relocating there?
There's 4 questions linked to me, so perhaps I can cover the first 2.
Cool,
And then
thanks.
Mark can cover, did you get those last 2? So in terms of potential roof leaks, we don't know. So we weren't involved in the condition assessment. This was a cut and paste from Sandra's initial report. So this was background really from your elected members. So we're unable to clarify that. If you'd like that clarified with the additional investigation. Evidence and rodents activity, there's 2 council meetings I can recall, staff instruct not to spend any more money on the schoolhouse. So there's been no more money spent on the schoolhouse based on direction of the council.
Yeah.
So the tree removal, yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. It is affecting our infrastructure, so I'm not sure.
The reason I'm bringing it up is because we're obviously going to discuss costs and whether we approve additional costs for the schoolhouse project. So just for newly elected members, probably it's just around, so like obviously as the last council approved these to support the schoolhouse being moved, but in reality, it's not for the schoolhouse. The tree is actually damaging our roots. So that shouldn't be part of our fund that we are supporting this schoolhouse move. Yes. And then the 30, is that for the pump station?
Yes, so yeah, I mean, the removal of the tree, we can either do that through the Parks Reserve budget, or we can include that as part of the stormwater upgrade. It doesn't really matter. It just comes out of a different budget. But
I think,
but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is if we're going to, we don't want to go, oh, well, we've already supported the move with 34 grand or whatever, when in fact it's just business as usual. So, and then the 30 is that for the pump station, which we were probably going to do anyway for future development. So we've got the capacity.
Yes, agreed. And when we workshopped the wastewater upgrade, we saw a definite benefit to Ōtorohanga from a network point of view, because having that pump station located there will free up potential subdivision up William Street. So, and also we have the museum's connected to a septic tank. So that sits completely aside to the relocation project. This is purely wastewater upgrade.
It's in our table as what we've helped fund for this project. So my point I'm trying to get across is actually we are not funding anything yet because it's business as usual.
Yes, I see what you're saying there, Deputy Mayor. So I see what you're saying. Yep.
I guess if I could. So that's correct, but I'm thinking that some of these things have been triggered by this proposal. We may have done the stuff eventually, but we brought it forward because we have a proposal that has caused us to remove the tree now and has caused us to look at.
Well, lucky, because the root intrusion in the pipe.
I don't recall that from the last meeting, but that'd be something, Jerry.
It's in the report that the investigation has showed that the trees are actually damaging our infrastructure. So yes, it might have triggered because of this, but in hindsight, thank goodness it did.
Yeah, so can we just to clarify that, the stormwater investigation was already a planned project, exactly, and the wastewater is potentially an upgrade project.
Just to go back to our recommendation, on page 113, like, are we all happy with? Let's just go through them, and because we'll change them as we need to, I think. But if we go to A, which is resolves to partially fund the regulatory costs by not charging staff time, council fees, or independent rent.
There's an amendment to that one.
Oh, yeah.
There's an amendment to
So we need the
being
amendment in front of us.
proposed. Yeah,
Page
so,
113.
sorry, this is kind of, this is happening
Yeah.
super fast. So I just ask that you all be really patient with my team as we try and move our way through this in a real fast way. And yeah, so there has been some amendments to A. And Tony, do you want to read what that says? And we can get this up on the screen, I hope. Putting out to my staff who are responsible for IT, can we get this up on the screen at some point, please? When we've rewritten the resolutions, if we can beam that up so that everyone can see them, that would be hugely helpful. Is that possible, Dave? Okay, so we'll type them up separately in a minute, but at the moment, do you want to read out, Tony, what you've got?
Sure. So the correction or the amendments to recommendation A are relatively minor. They just bring through the cost from the Yep. So the council resolved to partially fund the regulatory costs by not charging for staff time, council fees, or independent hearing commissioner costs relating to the building consent, insert assessed at $2,750, and resource consent, if resource consent is required, insert estimated at $5,000.
Okay. So that's fine. So
No,
So the next one, B, is where we need some direction from you, because we've had the request from Liz Cowan about whether council would put a contingency amount in for the third-party experts or consultants who may be associated or needed for the building consent or resource consent process if it's required, resource consent if it's required by the Historical Society. So my advice to you would be, and Kit will probably support me on this, I hope, is the open checkbook approach is never a good look for a council. And maybe you could think about putting a contingency amount of up to, if you are of a mind to support that. That would be my recommendation to you.
Yeah, I totally support that. I'd be very uncomfortable about having an open-ended arrangement like that. Yeah.
I'm sort of the same mindset, to be fair. I don't think sets a very dangerous precedent. And I think we shouldn't even allow for a contingency fund, to be fair. We should cover all council-related costs, but any additional costs should be on the society. And how they go about funding that is their responsibility, not ours. Because again, if you go down that road, you could have all the sundry in the future coming in with their hand out saying, "Oh, this needs some money for this." Doesn't sit comfortably with me.
that's why you're not see.
So you, Mayor Dowell, I'm on the other side. To a value, not an open checkbook, obviously, because that sets a bad precedent, but the public value of helping this get over the line, that's where I'd be coming from.
Council Carr.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but not every person in the public supports it either. So where do you draw the line? If it was unanimous, if everyone wanted it, great, but not everyone does. So
There hasn't been consultation about it.
I think.
Can I just, sorry, Your Worship, can I just caution the council to be a little bit circumspect here in terms of how they approach that particular issue. From a risk and assurance position, I'm a little bit uncomfortable about contingencies, particularly if there is no dollar value attached to those. And in fact, even the word contingency makes me a little bit nervous. Yeah, before you make a decision, I just think you have a good think about what you're doing. Yep.
Yeah.
Am I going to get a standing order?
Maybe in a minute.
Tony talked about up to $5,000, and I think for a resource consent, did you not say up to?
It's quite high.
Two different things? Okay, so I think maybe the conversation needs to be had, like, you know, how can we go up to when we've got no idea if that was the, you know, like, because at the moment, aside from staff time, which is huge, don't get me wrong, it's huge, we haven't actually like the tree removal and the waste isn't actually, but you know, just for the schoolhouse.
No, that's fair comment through you, Adele. We have done a bit of an estimate of staff time. I don't know if we've updated that, but yeah, it's climbing up there. With a council resolution that says we won't spend any more time on this. However, the two are separate. So the first one is resolves to partially fund the regulatory costs. So they are council's regulatory costs that we're saying up to 5,000 if a resource consent is required, and up to 2.5 if, or estimated and.
Could I clarify that? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Really
So-
hard not having a
So the building consent is assessed value. That's known. That's $2,750. The resource consent is estimated. It wasn't proposed as up to. If a resource consent is subsequently needed, it may be more than $5,000. And this is what council decided today. Do you want to fund that entirely? Do you want to fund it up to a specified amount? At the moment, the staff report is estimated at $5,000. You could cap that if you want to. And this is for council's resource consent costs, not OHS's resource consent costs. So that's the first recommendation I got. I think Tanya mentioned for OHS's costs, a cap there up to 5,000. So that's where the up to comes in. Yeah.
So there's two I'm just trying to get it in my head. So there's two costs to a resource consent, councils and OHS.
Yes, that's see that in the report.
So you're talking $10,000 for a resource consent for ODC and the Historical Society added together.
Potentially, but we don't know. I don't know what the costs to OHS would be for them to prepare a resource application. We've got an estimate. There are two separate costs. Staff recommendation is for council to cover the costs of the resource consent processing for council. So that's all staff time, which would be written off. If we need to engage our own specialists or our own independent commissioner because council is conflicted, my recommendation is we cover those costs. But my recommendation is we don't cover the cost of OHS preparing an application and getting expert reports.
Yeah.
I think the best sitting there. That's the staff recommendation.
Okay, that makes it a bit clear. Another thing I forgot to add is in the report under, I think it's called other things to consider, is that we haven't actually, the report didn't actually say, because new elected members might not know, they might not have read previous minutes and stuff, that the community's actually pledged like 31,000 towards this project. So there is actually a lot of community support out there. They've also got $14,500 pledged pro bono from contractors for plumbing and stuff. And 3,500 from the charitable trust. So that's 49K that the community has already put up to support this. And yeah, so I mean, yep, they could probably fundraise another 5,000K, but they're also some of that money is pro bono is painting the outside of the building, which is actually council hasn't paid any money to upgrade or upkeep that building for, I'm not sure when the last time count. So we have spent a lot of staff time. I totally get that. But we also, it's a council asset that we haven't looked after too.
Councillor Butcher.
Through you, Mayor Dell. Tony, I'm just a little bit confused. Earlier on, when you first started the report, you said, correct me if I'm wrong, no resource consent needed at this stage or, So we're still, what we just talked about before is the worst case scenario if it is.
Yes, so as I explained earlier, I'd rather, well, my recommendation is it is better for council to make a decision now whether you want to fund any part of the resource consent and not have a resource consent. Because at the moment, all the information is that a resource consent is not required, but that's only what we've been advised. We don't actually have that information yet in front of us.
Okay.
If the information comes in, it's either insufficient, inadequate, or we need more, or something else pops out, like relating to the underground pipes, for example, that we need more expert advice or more stuff, and a resource consent is needed, we don't want to have to bring it back, and it's just duplicate the effort. So you've got it before you now, you've got the opportunities in sight now.
Okay, that was my next question, was what's examples of what is needed in that resource consent, just to clarify. And you've said this.
So there were 4 pieces of information that were requested of the OHS. I'm just trying to cast my mind back to what they were. So one was around a geotech report. We don't have a geotech report. And Mark's talked about the condition of the ground. We don't know what it is. And so what Julian has said is when the building consent comes in, so definitely the building consent, there will be information provided by a geotechnical engineer to confirm that the ground is good. We need that before we can go back and say, yeah, absolutely don't accept that. The other one is setbacks and site coverage. So we've got an initial preliminary plan that was submitted with the draft applications, which isn't sufficient for us to determine whether it meets setback and site coverage. That's right, setbacks and site coverage. Yep. For all the buildings on the site. So what we need is an amended plan. Julian hasn't had time to give that to us, so he'll submit that as part of the building consent. The 2 other ones are really easy ones that he's but the other 2 main ones.
So this resource consent then is really coming out of the building consent, and hopefully if you get all the information you need, that's where you say you don't need the resource consent.
That will confirm what's been advised. So the normal process is the building consent comes in. As a matter of course, we do what's called a building check, where we assess the building consent against our district plan. If anything pops out at that point, it might trigger a resource consent. But the information we've got is we're not going to have resource consent.
Okay, thank you.
I just ask one last question before we. It sounds like we're trying to fix the plane as we're flying it almost.
Yep.
So anyway, hopefully we won't crash. Someone put some fuel in our plane, I hope. But anyway, the geotech, because basically, well, my understanding is this is what I'd like to see happen. I think that's the wish of all the councillors. It's basically we do our standard council maintenance, or fix the pipe up, so that's fixed for 100 years, and then the building's a separate thing goes on top. So Mark and his team are going to get rid of the tree and fix the pipe as part of what was in the long-term plan anyway. That'll just delay the building going there for a little bit, but not too long, hopefully. But obviously it's going to disturb the soil. So you talk about geotech. Does that just mean the piles are going to be just a little bit longer than what they've? Because I would say it's quite soft. Well, the soil would have been disturbed to put the pipe in originally, so it's kind of not going to be virgin ground because someone's going to have to put a pipe in at some stage. So
Yeah, if I can answer that, Rodney, I think the prudent thing would be to, as part of the replacement of this pipe, is we engage someone to give us some advice on the fill to go back in.
Yeah.
So that we can actually preempt any, because the worst thing we want to do is just put the wrong fill back in or the current soil. So I would say let's do that bit of work prior or as part of the replacement. If the decision today is to actually go ahead and replace that pipe, I must caveat now that we haven't done any design work on this. So the first thing we would do is go away and actually design the replacement of this pipe. So the current information I have from our manager of waters is yes, we can replace it, but we haven't actually done any design work. So before we can get a price to replace it, we'd just do some basic design work, some long sections. So part of that, we would say, right, we want to make sure we put this, when we backfill ready for the potential building to go on top. So we take some of that advice at that point, rather than backfill it and then have a geotech come in and say, "Oh, dig out the first 2 meters and put new fill back in." That was stupid, I think.
That was my answer, because we put a stormwater pipe in our yard and basically took away our soil and brought back some decent and backfilled it with some decent material so that the trucks could run over it. only took a couple of weeks, so it turned out it was over 100 metres of stormwater, so this one should only be a couple of days if you go on that recommendation anyway. So is that, just to get around the room, is that where we're sitting there? Taylor?
Yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts because I feel like I'm sitting behind a screen quietly. So I just wanted to highlight that in the report it states in 5.6 that it's not the preferred approach to put the building on the grounds first, and the construction being done afterwards. And in 5.7, that the build over wouldn't normally be approved without the full replacement of the pipes. So yeah, I was just concerned about why there was a push to get the building on there so soon without the pipes being resolved, if we need to do it anyways. Yeah.
Councillor Kitty?
Yeah, going back to you, Mayor Dow, going back to my original, what I said prior, do it once and do it properly. The geotech, we just had our shed done. I know exactly how much that is and what that involves. And then I want to put a cap. This is what I want personally. And then, but for me, it's more, I didn't know much about Rewa School before I came here, which was relatively disappointing on my own behalf for not finding out, I suppose, but not seeing it available to find out. But it's the afterwards that matters to me the most. This building, I hope, will be a big part of our community, where all the community has a big part of it.
Thank you. To be paused now, when we get the new resolution.
Just wondered, have you got to a position around the costs that so if I just do a couple of suggested options, including the one that's in there now, because that is a substantive kind of recommendation that's in there. If I do an alternate, then yeah, unless you want to, someone's going to move and someone's going to move an amendment, which we've all been through the practice for that. But that's an alternative way, as I stay completely out of that and you deal with it as elected members.
Yeah, maybe. Yep. I think most of us are on the same page about do the infrastructure stuff first. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think there might be some division about third party costs. Some want to give something, some don't want to pay anything.
So what's our feelings like on the costs before we go? Should we discuss how much council's already supported it by X amount? Staff time. And it's just whether we don't even know what the cost is going to be, because we might not need a resource consent. And obviously we're going to do the pipe, we're going to fill it with decent metal, so there should be no problem. So you just plonk her on and away we go. So, but it's not quite that simple, obviously. But so if we're going to put in a resolution about some costs, which we need to at least cap it just in case it does get out of hand, because sometimes these things can.
Yeah, I think.
Or yeah, that's one option. Of the cost of say a maximum, say $10,000 just as a figure, or we have none whatsoever. No, yeah.
Through there, just as a reminder too, none of this is budgeted. So I just to make that point to elected members, that we've been asked to come back to you to present options which we've done for unbudgeted expenditure. So at the end of the year, when you get your financial reports back, bear in mind, this will show up.
I think obviously we're responsible for council related costs, but again, the precedent and the perception in the community, if we then put some money aside for associated costs that aren't directly the responsibility of the council, I think it just opens up too many cans of worms.
That's fine. Councillor Butcher.
Yes, through you, Mayor Dow. So on page 120.6.12, the revised estimated costs for funding, could we use that as a start to understanding what exactly, because under the funded by council, under council resolution C432A, connections to mains wastewater, we've got $30,720, and in relation to Deputy Mayor Christensen, she's saying that that's required works outside of this anyway. So just on that table, I'm just sort of confused now with us revising, what actually are we saying yay, nay to?
Through you, Mayor Dowell, we're saying that like the funded by council under council resolution, those two bottom ones in that table, they're a given. I think what Deputy Mayor Christensen's saying is they shouldn't be attributed to this project. So if we draw the line there and say they would have been things that we would have needed to do anyway, maybe this is accelerated it or triggered or whatever the word we want to do, maybe not, but good asset management, good asset maintenance, we're going to do them. The ones above that line, which are unfunded at the moment, is what Tony would like to put, he would like to add in recommendation A, just to clarify one's been assessed, one's been estimated, and what those costs are. So yeah, so that's for A. For B, we're still having a conversation about whether council are of a mind to, and maybe we need to put the recommendations, and if people want to move an amendment, then that might be the way to go.
So we're back.
Okay, through you, sorry again. Meanwhile, I have captured, I think, the intent of the infrastructure additional recommendations, so I can send them to Kathy and she can put them up on the screen if we're ready to look at those.
Yes, please.
All right.
Beginning. I know, but we're all in grants at the grant. It's just.
Oh, you guys think I'm gonna change.
Yeah.
To keep take the costs. There's nothing. Oh, that's it. Oh, I don't. I suppose I'm This wasn't seated.
Goodbye. It's you.
Oh, it's got grey through it. That's odd. Okay. So through you, Mayor Dow, so we've basically copied and pasted the resolutions. We've added the highlighting for Tony, the bit Tony's added into A to clarify what those costs are. And then I've put a strike through D that's in your agenda.
Yeah.
And added the three below. So approves the immediate relocation of the existing stormwater pipe from its current alignment as soon as practically possible. Accepts that this project will be funded from budgets as approved in the 2024-27 long-term plan. And F, accepts that the project will take place as soon as practically possible and may delay the relocation of the Rewa schoolhouse. So I've put that delay in there because I think we need you to acknowledge publicly that this could delay. It may not, but it may. And we really don't probably want people being all upset with that or having a misunderstanding.
Put your microphone on, please.
Sorry, doesn't C sort of contradict D? Because C states approves the Rurua schoolhouse to be relocated over the existing stormwater pipe. And then says the relocation of existing stormwater pipe. So there's a bit of a,
Oh, is there a double up?
well, there's a contradiction.
So those changes, C needs to come out.
C needs to come out, yeah.
Oh, good spotting.
But it's still going to be needed to build over a pipe. It's just going to be a new.
Yeah, well, you don't want to build over the existing one, you're going to build over the new one.
Yeah.
I guess I liked that bit because it had foundation plans by the regulatory team and group manager engineering. So I don't know whether that still needs to be in there or not.
That will still come through the building consent.
So, yeah, so we can take C out.
So if I can just add some things there through you, me and Rodney, so C could stay as approval for a build over of the new pipe, but once the pipe's replaced, it actually falls back under the policy which can be approved by the group manager. Anyway, so it doesn't require a council resolution, but it could stay there if you are happy to, but it wouldn't be over the existing pipe, it would be the new pipe. D would be approves the immediate replacement of existing pipe, not the relocation. And I'm not sure if immediate is a good wish. It implies I'm going to start it tomorrow.
Okay, yeah.
That's all right. I've got his number. That's what I do.
I'm editing it on, I can't edit it on there. We need to edit it on here, sorry. So approves the replacement of the existing stormwater pipe. So that's all good. And were there any amendments to C?
Well, I think.
So that's fine. It's sitting in the current LTP.
No, I mean, sorry, yes, C.
Oh, C, sorry. Looking at D. Still got speed, I guess.
Why is that even?
I just think C's redundant.
Yeah.
So you've got D.
C,
Take C out.
Yeah.
And
It's Tony's report. Take it out.
Yes, that's all I
and also like B is that's because B's basically it confirms Ōtorohanga Historical Society will remain responsible, but that's actually up to them. But I mean, why is that a council?
It says we're not funding it. It says they have to pay for
They
their
have
DOT.
Yeah, but we're only doing a recommendation of what we're funding them, or what we're
Yes, we're
saying.
saying we're not funding that, any of their geotech or anything like that. That's what that's saying.
Yes, but what I mean is,
The one at the top.
why
is-
do we need a resolution to say that? But it's just
Be really clear.
to be really clear.
And
Yeah.
particularly now that they've put a request in, they've put a request
no, I am,
in
but I'm just-
to ask
yeah,
us to
that's
pay for their costs.
Yeah.
Up to.
So could we change B to put, that we will fund up to a certain amount?
That's what I'm saying. You may need to do that we've got different voices. So it sounds like everyone agrees on the infrastructure ones, but I don't think it's my job to try and read the room and work out what.
So you want someone to do an amendment?
I think you need to
Amendment.
move that through the proper process around amendments. If someone wants to put a contingency amount, see whether you get the
Right.
the room, the support from the room and go from there.
Yeah.
Here and see if I made a suggestion that could be put on the table, that then you could decide whether you wanted to amend that particular recommendation. Would that be useful?
I think that's what I'm saying. We don't do that.
We don't. Okay.
Yeah. Just because there's contrary views in the room. Whereas with these, it sounds like we've got clear direction to draft these.
Yeah. And we may not even need a resource consent or,
So is it where I would move a recommendation to be that we confirms that the council will fund up to how much?
yeah, but just say 10,000. But what I'm saying is, sorry, but What I'm saying is we don't actually know, so should surely,
We're still going up to.
yeah, up
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, this is all guessing, like, is it like, yeah, let's get it going, we're gonna do all that, and then if it comes back, like, just like, they might want to come back and get a grant for that money, or it might not be, we might not even need it at all. It's kind of like saying, we're just gonna give you a 10,000 contingency sort of plan. I don't know, it's just,
For the outside.
but yeah,
Oh,
or the fact that they're willing to say paint the outside of the building, whatever that costs, because that should be a council cost. So do we put that as a figure in there?
no.
No.
Your worship,
Yeah.
playing devil's advocate here, are we really in a position today to make a decision on this?
Yeah.
I mean, there's been that much in the way of converging opinion here, there. To be honest with you, I'm a little bit confused as to where we're heading with this, and I'd like a lot more clarification, perhaps from another. I don't know. That's just the way I feel. I mean, if you want to go ahead with it, that's fine. I know which way I'll vote, but I'm just a little bit concerned that we seem to be doing everything on the fly here. Shit.
I've just checked in with Liz, so the intention of IHS is to submit a building consent before Christmas. So my view would be, you've got the opportunity now, because if you don't make a decision today, we may get a building consent submitted, which we then are obligated to process. In the absence of any direction around costs.
Yeah, I think that's.
So does that, sorry, through you, Mayor Dow, does that mean, Tony, that once could we take change B to come back to council if there are outside costs for us to look at it then? Because Councillor Jeffries is saying he doesn't have enough information to feel comfortable. Councillor Butcher and Cara have said the same. I mean, I know that there's a few of us that are of the opinion we do it, cap it, but like you said, we don't even know if we're going to need that. If we're doing the pipe work, the infrastructure, the geotech report is probably irrelevant because council's going to get expert advice on the backfill. So I'm confused.
So it is an option to bring it back. Bear in mind, once the building consent hits the council, we have 20 days to process it. We'd be in breach of our statutory timeframes if we have to hold that up because there's a cost that hasn't been paid. So I guess breaking it down, you've got the opportunity today to give us some direction around cost recovery for any application that comes in. There is a possibility that you could, or that we could defer those costs, and then the society could come back at to request.
The next council meeting's the 24th of February.
If I may add something through you, Mayor Rodney, I think submitting the building consent may be a little bit premature if the decision coming out of council today is to replace this pipe, which will in effect delay this project for 12 months. So I don't know if that is even a problem at this point, considering we might have some infrastructure to replace. There potentially could be some time to discuss those building consent fees at a later date, maybe.
Yeah, Councillor Carr.
Yeah, I'm with Kit. I don't think we can make a decision today. Well, I'm not comfortable making one today.
I thought your words of wisdom was making.
Well, wisdom might be a bit of a compliment.
Sorry about that.
Through you, Mayor Dow. So with that in mind, do we strike out B because we don't need to discuss that at this point in time?
That's exactly what I
And
think.
focus on
Hey,
the regulatory costs,
Yeah.
which are now probably delayed as well. Or do we just focus on the infrastructure?
Yeah.
A, the new D, well, it's gonna be B now. Cross out B, C and D from up there. Do you want me to send the new ones to Kathy?
Yeah, I think that's,
Let's do it.
I think that's wise, to get the ground ready first and then we.
Yeah. What am I doing?
That's-
Yeah.
It does delay it a little bit, but at least. Councillor Tammy.
Just Mark, just a question. So you said, if we struck out one of those resolutions, that would put it back under the GM's decision? That's after the replacement of, is that right?
Correct. The approval to build over is done by the
Delegate.
group manager. Yep. Sorry, just on that resolution, I think is it E? I think we've still got something that says replacement and
I've just changed it.
and alignment. It says and realignment or something. I'm sorry, it went down.
Immediate relocation.
I think I can't see it again. Sorry.
Just hold on a minute. Patience. Yeah. It's Christmas. Christmas time. This is time in wine. Where's the wine? Oh, did I say that?
Did you say, Mark, was it D, approves the immediate relocation of the existing stormwater pipe from its current alignment as soon as practically possible?
I think the
That's-
current alignment needs to be removed. It's
Yes.
replace existing stormwater pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, I'm going to put that one up. New one. New. Where's the replacement? It's not nice. We're changing. We're moving it from its alignment to another place.
No,
No,
We're building a new one.
just
Replace
new pipe, yeah,
in the same position.
just taking the tree roots out of the old pipe. You might even be able to use
The
the old pipe.
realignment
Tree
was
roots out the
for-
back.
In 10 years, Tanya.
Alignment's a different thing when it's gonna go down the road. It's gonna go where it is.
so the direction, as I understand from council today, is replace the pipe, which enables me to
Where it
approve
is.
the build over in its existing location.
Ah,
The alternative solution, which is part of the original resolution was, or recommendation was to realign it and leave the old pipe there, but we're not going to do that.
okay.
Yeah.
So we're not moving it now.
So sort of,
That's what happens when you're trying to multitask.
yes.
I'm trying to listen to what you're talking about and write this. So approves the replacement of the existing stormwater pipe in its current location as soon as practically possible. Is that what we're saying?
Do we have to be do we have to be as specific and say also tree removal, tree and root removal?
That's
And
right.
That's already been approved in
Okay.
a previous report.
Right, sorry.
That was
No,
the
good
last
question.
Yeah, good question, man. Right. Oh, okay. Just as well, we've got a nice, easy subject to start our decisions today.
Yes.
Or council could go away from it, or shouldn't do it. Was that pipe normally, Mark, it wouldn't normally come to council for us to approve. Yeah, because you would have normally just done it anyway, like, is that right?
Correct. The reason it came in front of council is because the solution was alternative, yes, to the policy.
Oh, yeah, my opinion is I believe it's a happy compromise between the two. We're investing in the future of that site by doing the site works, and yep, it means there's the delay in the potential bit delay in the movement of the hall, but it sets it up for a long time in the future, sort of thing. So yes, they may be disappointed in that, but at the same time, it gives great future focus on.
Yeah, it'll be. Yeah, I think in 10 years' time, if someone came with a crane to lift it up, it'd be a lot more inconvenient than waiting, And it may not have to wait that long, because the weather's pretty good. There's probably spare diggers, get into it tomorrow. Anyway. So am I supposed to be reading the resolution?
So,
are you saying now that C, that the only money that we're committing ourselves to is what's already in the budgets? We're not looking at anything over and above that? Is that right? Okay.
at this present time.
Yep.
Yeah, at the present time.
Come back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Come back if we need to.
I'm a bit more comfortable with that. Yep. Cute.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah.
I'm delegating that. Oh, hang on, Councillor Butcher's has got a question.
Yeah, thank you through you, Mayor. Just what confidence can we give the Ōtorohanga Historical Society in D? Of the new D. As soon as practically possible. What confidence can we give them that we are, behind them and getting this stormwater, which we need to upgrade anyway for the community, to future-proof, and it won't be another 2, 3, 4 years.
I suppose the only comfort we can give them is that it's an existing LTV budget that we have to deliver on anyway. And I think council has clearly indicated that this is a priority.
Yeah.
So I would like to think we've got the contractors in town for the next, I think it's 6 months while they do the other work. We'll be trying to get this as part of that so that we don't delay this any longer. There's a few procurement processes I've got to work through, but that would be our intent.
Thank you, Mark.
That's fine. No more questions. I'll get Deputy Mayor Christensen to read out the new resolutions, please.
Thank you. That Ōtorohanga District Council resolves to partially fund the regulatory costs by not charging for staff time, council fees or independent hearing commissioner costs relating to the building consent assessed at 2,750 and resource consent estimated at 5,000 if resource consent is required, and B, approves the replacement of existing stormwater pipe in its current location as soon as practically possible. C, accepts that this project will be funded from budgets as approved in the 2024-27 long-term plan. D, March D? Yeah, D. Accepts that this project will take place as soon as practically possible and may delay the relocation of the Rewa Schoolhouse. I have a mover and a second.
Do we have a mover? Moved Councillor Woodward, second Councillor Butcher. All in favour? Aye. Everybody's in favour. No one against? No one's against? Asked.
Awesome discussions.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Am I able to just request a 5-minute break, just to hand Harper off to my grandmother to look after it?
That's here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do we want to? Yeah.
Thank you.
You've got quite a competition to follow the last presenter then, haven't you? Hard act to follow.
Yeah.
This one's a decisive report. It shouldn't take too long.
This last word, stop it.
Right, we'll just wait for Councillor Butcher. Right. So we're now on item 19, page 132. We're going to talk about the council logo change revisit.
Kia ora,
Oh, yeah.
now that you're sufficiently warmed up. This report revisits council's organisational logo following community feedback and the petition we received earlier this year. Yes. You'll recall this was also the subject of a workshop in November where we explored the background and various options. In the public gallery, we do have Ian Clark, who spoke to the public forum when the petition was presented to council, and Murray Lowenthal, who's just dipped out, will be back in a moment, who asked council candidates to revisit the council logo during the pre-election public engagement in Ōtorohanga. So you know who's in the room. There's no new information I have to add today. The report sets out the context, options for consultation and a recommended path forward. I'm happy to take any questions of the report from here.
Any questions, councillors?
I don't have a question, Your Worship, but I just wanted to make a comment that that I made at the last meeting was that my opinion has changed a little bit since that last meeting. I did raise the question as to why we needed to go back through a consultation process, and if we had received a petition with nearly 400 names on it, was it an option for us just to go back to what we had before and just leave it at that? But I was told that there have been others who have been supportive of the new logo. I'm not too sure how many. I'd be surprised if it's 380. So that was just one thing that I was just wondering, you know, and still do, I guess, is do we really need to go through that whole process again? The other question I had was, and it's really just a comment, that if the nest is retained in any form, are we able to revisit the colours, please? That was the only questions I had. Yep.
Do you want to answer that, Nadia, or me answer it? I can answer the consultation thing first, Kit. I think that's the trap we fell into the last time when we put it forward. We possibly as a council didn't value the strong feelings out there in our community for the Kiwi, so we sort of took it for granted. And I think the petition particularly asked why they weren't consulted on. So we basically the wishes of the petition, but there is other people that obviously got a different view. So I just feel it's otherwise we could have just made the decision and move on, you know, and in a few years' time it would be forgotten, but we've decided that we're going to revisit it. We try and right the wrongs, whether that'll, you know. But I do think that consultation, and I think the multi-consultation is what the staff's recommended is appropriate for this. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with kind of what they've done. As far as the colours, yeah, I'm not sure about the pastel colours either. But anyway.
Through
but yeah,
you, Medal, should the nest be retained, we can bring a report back regarding the colours, how they were chosen, what they mean, and options going forward with, I guess, the pros and cons of changing that.
Yeah, thanks, Nadia. The only reason I raised it, and I raised it right back when we first looked at this, was I just thought that the colours were a little bit insipid. And for a logo, it didn't really sort of hit you. You know, you looked and didn't go sort of wow. And I just wondered whether the colours could be a lot stronger. That's all. Yep.
That was actually my own comment, Nadia, is when we go out for consultation, like the former Kiwi logo, 'cause there is options of it in colour. But it's kind of seems to have gone to black and white. Like, since the others are in colour, should we be consulting on all of the what's?
So before I started here just almost 4 years ago, the Kiwi logo had been changed to purely black.
Yeah.
So
Like in our standing orders paper today on our agenda, it's actually a colour one, but it's where Kiwis can.
yes, but and that was the former colour before it was then changed to just black. So I'm just trying to think of how we could do that through the consultation. If, potentially we could add in another option of, if you'd like the Kiwi retained, would you like to see it in colour rather than necessarily putting a coloured one in there without bringing that to you to say, do you like this colour? That I guess would slow up the process. So if you're wanting us to return with a coloured option.
Through you, Mayor Dow, are you asking whether the old coloured logo should be included, the way it was, purple and green?
Well, that's what I was just thinking, because the nest is coloured.
Yeah, but in those colours, the colours of that it was traditionally in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm just wondering if that's what. So.
It's essentially that's up to your discretion. If you want us to go out with 4 options of the black logo, which is what it was beforehand, the coloured logo. I guess my caution would be that what we're looking at the moment is a logo change. The idea was that the branding, which included our colours, our weaving, etc., was to remain the same, even if the logo was changed back to the Kiwi logo. Should we go out with a whole new colour set, or the colour set that you've seen in the code of conduct, which is the previous colour of the Kiwi, it will clash with the current branding that we have. So I think we're opening up a can of worms.
Kiwis like worms.
Unless we change
No,
the net
right.
to the colours. No.
Yeah. I think by just having the 3 options there that we've got. Yeah, you've got 4, like an option to design a new logo after consultation. I think the 3 would suffice. But there's 2 options of a Kiwi and one without a Kiwi.
Through you worship, Mayor Down, apologies. The staff recommendation is that you go out with 3 options, which is the former logo, Te Ōtorohanga, the nest, and the presented combined logo. What you're looking at in 5.2 is just the array of options that you have before you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So have we got any more questions? We have.
Oh,
Councillor Kitty first, please, and then.
Sorry. Yep.
Tanya, please, your turn.
Okay, not really a question, but I just want to be mindful of our current or upcoming reforms climate, and the importance of keeping things simple, because we've got a lot of work, staff has a lot of work ahead of us. And I also want to, in keeping it simple, the financial part and the staff workload. I like number 3, but keeping it as simple as I can is how I will be directing my opinion.
Councillor Jeffries.
Oh, thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, just looking at the option 3 with the Kiwi in the middle of the nest. I think somebody, was it you, Michael? Last meeting came up with a bird that had a different coloured beak or something, and it was more definite anyway. Yeah, I just wondered whether the councillors generally would support a kiwi with a beak that's sort of not the same colour as the rest of it. That's all. Yeah.
Through
Oh yeah, good. Is that it?
For the benefit of those online, Councillor Deputy Mayor Christensen showing a photo of a kiwi with a yellow beak.
Through you, Mayor Dow, I wonder if it's possible if the resolution is agreed to, that perhaps a small working party on defining that the concept of that third logo is approved to get to the detail of it.
Yeah, that sounds a very good idea. Nadia just said if it's agreed in principle to do the 3 consult, but a little working group can get together and be our highly paid Ōtorohanga District Council consultants. And Taylor, you got a question, Taylor?
Oh, I just wanted to clarify in the report 2.4 where it says like the options are the former Kiwi logo, the current Te Ōtorohanga, or a professionally prepared combined logo, which is sort of just about what we're just talking about now. The logo being put together by us or a professional and the cost that might be implemented in that. Yeah, I just wanted to sort of highlight that a little bit.
So through you, Mayor Dow, should you go with the recommendation in front of you and a small working group is prepared, can I suggest that it's up to that working group whether the logo that goes out is essentially a draft version as a concept, or whether we get our designer to do a more professional version, which I've been quoted as $200.
No, that's fine. Councillor Carr.
Am I allowed to address the public gallery? No. Okay, no problem then.
I don't know.
The mayor can relax standing orders as much as he likes. That's not usual, but if Mayor Dow wants to say yes to that, then he can.
I can though. No, you can. I'll let you do that then.
Gentlemen, welcome. Have you two seen the proposed new logo? With the kiwi in the middle of the nest? Yeah. What are your thoughts? Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
I could picture people extract, so I'm.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can
Any
someone
more? Hang on.
just
Taylor.
clarify those comments for me? I just couldn't quite hear.
Oh, we just asked the public gallery what their opinion was, or opinion, yeah. So they were pretty relaxed. As long as we've got a good kiwi in there, that's the most important thing. Okay.
Thank you.
So we've got a staff recommendation that the Ōtorohanga District Council consult on the former Kiwi logo, Te Ōtorohanga, the nest, and a presented new combined logo using a consultation method of structured name submissions and informal sentiment gathering methods. Is that right? Do we have a mover? Can we move Councillor Tamaki?
Yep.
Seconder. Deputy Mayor Christensen. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Oh, hang on. Well, might as well answer.
We'll do resolution to public, I think, and then
Yeah.
Do you want to do council updates?
Oh, yeah. What's around the room? It's only been
Lunch.
2 weeks.
Don't you fellas want to do lunch or not?
But we won't be coming back in
Oh,
the
okay.
meeting.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
So,
What about?
yeah.
So council updates. Councillor Carr.
I didn't manage to get to the Waikeria thing at Te Awamutu Club, just got too busy at work, a few staffing issues. And then we are scheduled for a Ōtorohanga water ski meeting tomorrow night, but that may be on the back burner as well due to a lack of response from the community. I'll know more later. I've started doing some stuff around local government through Icona, and I haven't started reading the book yet, but I will over the next few weeks, just to get my head around all this legislative change and how it all works. So that's me holiday stuffed.
Councillor Butcher.
Kia ora all. On the 26th of November, I went to leaving at the employment hub. I went on behalf of ourselves as an employer, and then also on behalf of Mayor Dow, who couldn't make it. And that was really lovely, a good send off, and knowing that the employment hub is in good stead still going forward. And then a morning tea at the museum, and then last week the KCB meeting I just attended, so I know what's going on and supporting the community out there. And then on Friday we had I went to a funeral, hence I couldn't go to the Kiwi House, of Gillian Dampney, who's a widely loved teacher and person in the community. And the Xmas parade, where a few council members dressed up and I was Mumite. Personally, I like Vegemite, so it was a bit hard pill to swallow. And an awesome parade. I didn't get to see much of it being in it, but what I could see as they were lining up to go down the street, wow, was really cool. So thanks to the whole community for making the kids happy. And a couple of ideas for next year, that hopefully to do, revisit some maybe running races as I did with my kids down the main street. Let alone myself, but that's another, I won't go into that story. And then the Xmas market on Sunday, wow, that was another really cool thing initiated by volunteers in the community. And wow, it was a hot day, but it was awesome.
Deputy Mayor Christensen.
Thank you. I went to the art festival opening with Mayor Rodney, which was, yeah, okay. No, it was good. The lineup looks amazing. Yeah, it was raining, so it was inside. I think initially it was meant to be outside in the gardens, so it would have been a lot. Yeah. And Elevate Business Breakfast. Yeah, just want to congratulate the students. I mean, oh my goodness, what an amazing job they do with their cafe and sorting the food. Also went to the museum morning tea, which was really cool. And I encourage you, if you haven't been through and this goes to staff too, if you haven't been through the museum lately, I really think you should. Yeah, it's a little gem in our town. I went and sat in and tried not to talk too much at a netball Island Reserve meeting, and had the OCB meeting, and then Mayor Rodney and I had a meeting with some community members about the medical thing that's happening in Waikato. The parade on Friday, was Miss Baked Beans. We had only over 40 floats. I think it was the most floats we've had in quite some time, so that was really good. And then I also went to the Christmas market down at the Island Reserve. They had over 86 stalls. They had music, entertainment all day. 99% were local musicians, and a couple of the schools performed. It was amazing lineup of entertainment, and that's put together by a group of local ladies. for our community. So yeah, I just want to congratulate them on a successful day. That's me.
Councillor Woodward.
Yeah, I also walked in the parade. That's my squash ball down and up. So bit of fun with the kids. But yeah, most of my last couple of weeks have been spent at the college, just the new or the proposed upgrade or the transition of the science block, also library into the science block. Trying to work out what bench tops the kids can't scratch and graffiti on, and colour palettes and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, we put on scissors into benches and stuff like that. So those kids put the college through its paces. So trying to invest in a building that's going to last for a long time, but a fair bit expensive. Yeah, it's soaking up a lot of my time.
Cheers. Councillor Tamaki.
Kia ora, went to me and Councillor Kite went to Te Maruata in Poneke, so that was really nice. We've got a new Ropu Whakahaere with new co-chairs. I attended the Hine Kirikiri turning of the sod in Te Kuti, which is the new development Te Hine Hinui is doing around 40 affordable rental properties. That was really nice. Attended the Kiwi House James Hardy opening. That was really nice. And to hear from Barbara and how she enjoys being a part of our district here in Ōtorohanga. Helped set up the Kawenata Awards where Max was a finalist, so that was really nice. Been in consultation with the Kawhia Haura Hub around becoming more sustainable in terms of haura and kawhia in the rural areas around outreach. So that's been really nice. Yesterday, didn't attend, but so there's a big project happening in Te Kauri Lodge around estimated 200-year-old rimu that had fallen down in Cyclone Gabriel. Them being able to extract it out of there. So since stock has taken over lots of, I suppose, reserves documented as Māori-owned property, they have never been able to get taonga or species out of there. They get claimed by DOC. So this is the first one in probably about 100 years that they've been able to get across the line and look at getting it out in the next 18 months. So yeah, it'll be quite interesting to be a part of. So kia ora.
Thank you. Councillor Kiddy.
Kia ora. What I got out of that Wellington Maruata, it's a Māori advisory group, by the way, for local government New Zealand, and it promotes Māori participation. I got out of it, we got to speak to an array of different local government workers, like regional councillors, mayors, and local representatives. Also, a couple of MPs were there from the Green Party. You had questions and answers. So that was really great. Genuine relationships formed there. And we also talked about the future moving forward in the new RMAs. So that was really insightful for me. Also went to the graduate medical school opening. So what it is, it will be the third medical school in New Zealand, and anyone with a degree can apply to become a doctor. And it's the doctors that are focused on primary and rural care and New Zealand care only, so that we tend to keep them here rather than fleeing to go overseas. So hopefully that will help with Dr. John and Kawhia Kit, because the first year strictly they will be staying in the building. The second and third year they'll be actually out in these facilities, Te Kori Hospital here, Kawhia. Students will be doing the work digitally online while they're working aside the doctors. So that is absolutely great. And I've been working in health for 28 years. It's a huge change for us in that arena. Yeah, it is. It's great. Hopefully Dr. John can fish in the water. Also I won a prestigious Te Nehi Nehi Nui Award for emergency services work at the coast. Thank you. That was held in Hamilton in the atrium, and I've taken it down to the station. It sits there to share amongst us all. And also been
just communicating to local friends, kawhia fishermen on the hats out there, just listening only. I don't share my opinions or share the opinions of anyone else. And that was interesting to learn their thoughts. Thank you.
Cool. Councillor Jeffries.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, just very briefly, 4th of November, we had the swearing in, ODC swearing in here. 4th of November, same day, we had a tourism workshop out at Kawhia, which was very successful. And I think we had about 18 or 20 turn up for that. So there's some further work to happen in January. I think we're having a briefing session on the outcomes of that workshop. And there were some really good ideas that came out of that. We had the swearing in for KCB on the 6th. We had a workshop on the 11th. And on the 13th, we had the Careers Expo in the Kawhia Hall, which was a resounding success. I think that was organised by the Hub. And there was a really wide range of exhibitors and stallholders there, including the Armed Forces, DOC, Waipa Networks even had one, plus little local stalls. So I'm hoping that some of our younger people actually benefited from that experience. District Council meeting on the 25th of November. On the 1st of December, I went to Te Kuiti and was there for the Maru Trust presentation. That was really interesting, and there were a couple of good speakers at that. I think I've mentioned previously that Sean Horgan, who is the chief executive for Waipa Networks, he's retiring at the end of this month. Well, not retiring, he's actually going down to the South Island, so we're losing Sean, which will be a great loss for us because he's been a great supporter of this district, in particular Kawhia. So we wish him well. There's still a suggestion that Waipa Networks may look at a similar arrangement in the area of the Ōtorohanga district that they are part of, to that of the Maru Trust. In other words, assisting people with insulation, with heat pumps, with all sorts of stuff to make warm, affordable homes a reality. And so we're still waiting to see what happens there. On the 2nd of December, I took part in the Zoom meeting, which was a Civil Defence Emergency Briefing meeting. And thank you, Tony, for getting me involved in that and for the information that was provided afterwards. Just so that you're aware, I went down to the fire station last night and I located the satellite phone, and it's on the charger. So yeah. So if there's an emergency, we've now got a satellite phone that's working in Kawhia. And there was a KCB meeting on the 4th, and then I went to the Kiwi House opening of the Nutrition Centre on the 5th. And that was a nice occasion too. And we were fortunately blessed with some good weather. So and a very enthusiastic bunch of staff people who operate the Kiwi House. So I compliment them on what they've achieved down there. So definitely a great addition to a very important and iconic facility for this town, for this area. So with that, can I just say to you all, I wish you all a very, very happy Christmas, safe one, and I hope you come back into the new year fully refreshed and raring to go. So, yeah, so to councillors and staff, all the very best for 2026.
Yeah. Good. Thanks. Councillor Barclay.
Kia ora. So on the 28th of November, I went to Wellington to the Young Elected Members Hui, where I networked with elected members who are under 40. And it was interesting to hear how they're engaging with their communities, and it has sort of came a bit timely with our report being given to us this week. So I've sort of come away with a few ideas for the new year, and just really trying to engage and having a larger social media presence, and possibly a TikTok account. There's one of the elected members from Wellington who has a huge following on TikTok, and she finds new and fun ways to sort of let people know about the projects and services that are happening in their council. So definitely doing a bit of watching of her things, and maybe taking a bit of a leaf out of her book. Don't know how engaging I'll be on TikTok, but I'm happy to give it a go. And we also we voted in our Young Elected Members Committee. So for Zone 2 for us, we've got Justin Ross from the Kawerau District Council. So this is his second term in council and second term on the committee as well. That's really it from me. I just wanted to note, I know we get lots of invitations via email, but if there are any community group meetings that maybe are not known about unless you're already part of those community groups, I'd love a little heads up email. And just so I can see if I can go along. Would be really cool to have a bit more in my calendar and get out and about. But sometimes I don't maybe know exactly where to look for those meetings and things. But that's me.
Thank you. Well, resolutions register now, please.
Okay, lunch is calling, I know that. So a few resolutions from the last meeting that we're recommending all be removed from the register, and that is just around committees, appointments and delegations, appointments to external organisation, the adoption of the meeting schedule, the workshop schedule, the adoption of standing orders, elected members' remuneration, and elected members' allowances and reimbursement policy.
Well done. I haven't even found the page.
Oh, sorry, page 169.
Yeah, this bloody doesn't automatically do that. You gotta flick through.
Yeah.
Nearly the end. We'll get there.
Oh, so you've got the whole presentation.
Shall I just say what she said? Someone like to move that? Moves Councillor Tamaki, second Councillor Jeffries. All in favour? Against? Carried. Yeah. Okay, so what are we going to make?
So page 171 is our report to move into public excluded.
Do I need to read the whole thing? Can we move?
Yeah.
Move Deputy Mayor Christensen, second Councillor Kitty. All in favour? No. Against? So now we can break for lunch and we'll back into our public exclusion and we can stop the on air. And everyone watching on air, have a Merry Christmas.